guys, Casual Movie Guy here, and today I'm talking about It Follows. So It Follows is the latest horror movie that I've seen, and I have to say this is probably one of the best horror films I have seen in a long time. Seriously, the director, David Robert Mitchell, did a fantastic job with this film. The acting was all solid all around, with the exception of a few minor characters, but they're not in it for that long. One of the things that I want to highlight about this movie is its use of sound. This movie has one of the best soundtracks that I have seen in a horror film in probably 10 years. Seriously, if you've seen movies like Halloween, those retro horror films, the older ones that came out in like the 80s and 70s and maybe the early 90s, there's this kind of sound. It's like a techno horror electronic type sound, and this movie incorporated that perfectly. And I don't see that as stealing or copying from the older movies, but I feel like it's paying homage and writing kind of a love letter to its horror roots. One of the scenes in this movie, if you've seen Halloween, which is my favorite horror movie of all time, by the way, it's taken directly from that movie, and I think if you are a huge fan of Halloween and you've seen it a few times, then when you see this movie, you'll know exactly what scene I'm talking about. But I didn't care because, like, it was such a good movie. The directing, like I said, fantastic job. The acting was pretty good, and the setting really brought something to this movie. Because if you've seen a lot of horror movies, you know there's a few main settings for most horror movies. It's usually some cabin in the woods, or it's some suburban house, or something like that. But this movie went for a Detroit setting, and I thought that was really interesting and cool, and it kind of brought something fresh to the horror genre, because not many horror movies take place in city-like areas. And it wasn't like New York City, it was kind of like, there wasn't like huge buildings everywhere, because that wouldn't be that scary, but it used its setting perfectly, the buildings, and it just was really interesting, and I really liked that about this movie. Some of the negatives about this movie is the fact that it wasn't overall that scary. I was able to go home and turn the lights off and go to sleep just fine that night. This movie is not going for more of a, I feel like, not a super scary thing that leaves you feeling like, you know, you're not going to be able to sleep that night, but it's more of a disturbing paranoia type thing. If you haven't seen the trailers for this movie, basically what it's about is there's this thing, and it follows you, and the only way to get rid of it is to sleep with someone, which from there on you pass it to them, and then it follows them. I know it sounds like a stupid plot, but plot points aside, and the whole overall plot aside, the execution was perfect. And that's, you can look at any script and say that that's gonna be shit, but it's the execution of the director and the actors that really counts. One of my favorite movies of all time, Groundhog Day, is an amazing script, but somebody could have looked at that script and said, wow, this is dumb. It's the directing and the acting of Bill Murray that made the movie such an amazing film. The same happens here. I haven't read the whole script or anything, but it could have been a script that people looked at and said, wow, this is dumb. This is an STD that follows you. Which the whole film is basically a metaphor for STDs, but it's the execution that really hit on it. I really wish that they would have done a little bit more makeup and touched up on the thing that followed people, because I think that they could have had a good shot at really scaring people and leaving them with a scared feeling. I just feel like they kind of missed an opportunity there. Sometimes they looked creepy and other times they didn't, so it was kind of inconsistent, but besides that, the rest of the film was amazing. I strongly recommend that you go see it if possible. I can't wait to buy it on Blu-ray so I can watch it again and show some of my friends it who aren't going to get a chance to see it in the theaters. But you're missing a huge opportunity if you don't see this film in the theaters. Overall, like I said, amazing film, good directing, good acting. I just wish they would have made it a little bit more scary, but the rest, nothing really else I have to say about this movie. I think I'm going to give it a 9 out of 11. I think it would have gotten, it was just above, it was just about to get a 10, but I think that it just wasn't scary enough to get that 10. But I can't wait to see what this director does. I think he could be the director who really brings back the horror genre and makes it a main staple in Hollywood. I have nothing else to say today. I'm the Casual Movie Guy. If you want to hear more from me, you should definitely hit that subscribe button. Make sure to like this video, and I'm out.